Hey everyone, today I will be making a build guide for UnderMine 2. Build consists of getting infinite skulls for Goblet of Grin to spam potions. This build is the strongest build in the game as of now and is the build I use for deep well runs. This build is recommended for the well because it is overkill for regular zones and takes some time to set up. This guide will cover explaining the build, how to set up the build, and finally how to use the build. The build consists of using Goblet of Grin to drink infinite antimatter potions to protect the player from poison damage. Protecting from poison damage is important because it's the only type of damage that can directly harm a player's HP. This becomes important in the well when your max HP gets reduced to 1 or your healing gets reduced to 1. The biggest issue with using Goblet is that it costs skulls, which are normally hard to get in high quantities. This can be solved with the Visage Arcana, which gives the skulls a chance to popcorn when hitting the ground. With max luck, this can lead to 1 skull popcorning 12 plus times, giving 3 or 4 uses to Goblet. Now, I mentioned using antimatter with Goblet, but there are 3 other potions I use, but less commonly. The first potion is the Kiss of Succubus potion because it can kill any enemy in a room instantly. The next potion is a flow potion to safely walk over poison puddles and holes. The final potion is a pangolin potion to restore lost armor shards. Now that covers the arcana and potions of the build, but I want to now go and cover the main relics of the build. One thing to know about the relics is that you'll end up getting most of them with this build, but I'll explain that when I talk about how to use the build. For now, I'll talk about the main relics that are required for the build. The first relic is Lapis Lazuli, because it provides great protection. Combining Lapis with Rotham's Fracture makes an easy combo that makes you immune to almost all damage besides poison. The next relics that are required are Unstable Concoction and Drums of War. With the Hex Gold Flinger or the Curse Explosive Decompression making gold fall on the floor, this can trigger Unstable Concoction. When triggering Unstable Concoction along with Drums of War, you are able to tame all the enemies in a room instantly. This is the main way to deal with enemies with the build. The final main relic for the build is Armor Relics. Armor Relics are any relic that gives an effect when you lose a point of armor. This is because when getting hit and you have no mana left, it will take armor instead of health. With enough armor effects piled together, you can clear a room whenever you take armor damage. I mentioned relics you take during the run, but I want to quickly mention relics that you should not take on a run. These relics are mainly anything that summons followers like Lotheb's Egg or Selt's Eggs. This is just for performance reasons when in the well. With some of the major relics out of the way, I'll go on to the section about setting up the run. Welcome to the phase of setting up the build. Now, if you wonder what I mean by setting up the build, is getting all the progress that carries between runs set up. This can be stuff like meta currencies, the Forge, or Black Rabbit's shop. The first step is maxing out the meta currencies, which include getting 500 thorium, 99 crowns, and 20 iron. Note that this also includes the potion apparatus if you plan on going through the lab. That is the basic setup, but the main setup is getting the correct relics in Black Rabbit's shop. With Black Rabbit's shop having 8 spaces for relics, it is important that you make the best use of these spots, and I will show you how to do that. The first relic that you want is the Philosopher's Stone. Activating the Philosopher's Stone turns your mana into gold so you can get even more gold. The second relic can vary, but I chose Galoshes. The second relic just needs to be an Arcana with an activation cost lower than Philosopher's Stone. This is because Philosopher's Stone activates from any mana use, even just 1. And Galoshes is one of the best relics for this because it has an activation cost of 1. The third relic you want is Rotham's Fracture. This is for the combination it has with Lapis, but the main reason we want it now is for Galoshes. The reason is that Rotham's Fracture restores 25% of the mana that you use, but it's always rounded up. So when Galoshes uses 1 mana, it rounds the mana up to 1 and gives you infinite mana, for Galoshes at least. And infinite mana with Galoshes means that you get infinite gold as well with Philosopher's Philosopher's Stone. For the next relic, you can choose between Arcane Empower and Bright Seed. This is because both relics will allow you to start gaining mana instead of staying at the same mana when you use Galoshes. I'll note that Arcane Empower is slightly better than Bright Seed, but it doesn't really matter which one you get. The next relic in the shop is Simple Chest. The reason for having Simple Chest is to get an extra relic in every shop. This will lead to a total of 8 extra relics throughout the main zones. This is an okay amount of relics, but the main use for it is more rerolls. This means you'll have 8 more relics that you can reroll in the shops. And with having infinite gold, buying out these shops isn't going to be a problem. This is where getting almost every relic in the game becomes a possibility. Now there are only 3 relic spots remaining in Black Rabbit's shop. Out of these 3 spots, 2 of them are going to be taken by Goblet of Grin and Visage. Visage has the same use as before along with Goblet of Grin, but with the extra use of maxing out your stats and gold. The final relic in Black Rabbit's shop is Necronomicon. When activated, the Necronomicon spawns a skeleton follower. When you reach the summon limit of 10 followers, the other skeleton followers will start to die and drop skulls. This will lead to an infinite loop of skulls for you to use Goblet with. With all the relics in Black Rabbit's shop explained, there's only one more thing that's needed to be done in order to maximize the run. This is finding a good starting seed. A good starting seed will have a decent potion or relic in Portimer's shop. This is not the biggest optimization, but it is quick to do, so I would recommend it if you really want to maximize your run. It is finally time to explain how to use the build in an actual run. The first step is to pick your character. Any character will work, but I chose the peasant. Next, you want to buy out Portimer's shop. The second step can vary depending on your game progress. If you have relics that can be crafted at Wayland's, then go to him and craft them for the run. The next step after speaking to Wayland is to go into the rabbit hole. In the rabbit hole, you want to gamble at the slot machine with the 5 crown option. Any thorium you get can be traded for more crowns to gamble even more. The main goal of gambling is to get extra gold, but you can get other stuff like keys and bombs and sometimes even blessings. After you finish gambling, it is finally time to go into the mines. For the gold mine, you want to save as much gold as possible. This means limiting rerolls in the pilfer shop and relic rooms. If you have 2 good relics in the relic room, then stasis 1. On the first floor pilfer shop, you can stasis any good relics and reroll the bad ones twice if there are any bad ones. After the shop, make sure to open any chests and explore any secret rooms you find. If you have some extra keys right now, you can go to the altar, but if you don't, then go down to the next floor. On the next floor, you want to go to the relic room, but skip the shop. The reason for skipping the shop is to make sure you have enough gold for Black Rabbit's shop on the next zone. If you're wondering about the stasis relics in the first shop, they will appear in the shop in the next zone. This is because relics stasis in the shop don't appear until you re-enter a shop. After clearing the floor and visiting the relic room, you want to go to the forge. The relics offered at the forge can vary, but you want to look for armor pieces and non-arcana relics. You want to craft as many of these items as you can, even if it means sacrificing some keys and bombs for more iron. After using the forge and clearing out the floor, it's time to go fight Celt. After the Celt fight, you have a choice between 2 zones, the laboratory and the dungeons. For this build, it does not really matter which way you go, but I typically go into the dungeon since there's a higher gold drop rate. In Black Rabbit's shop, you want to buy the Philosopher's Stone and Galoshes. If you don't have enough gold for both, you could either sell a random relic to Black Rabbit or use your Philosopher's Stone to get the remaining gold. After buying the Galoshes, you can activate them to get a lot more gold for the mana cost. After saving up enough gold, you want to buy Rotham's Fraction. This will give you infinite mana with Galoshes. A tip is that if you stand in this specific corner of Black Rabbit's shop, you could collect all gold right when it spawns, so you could AFK gold with Philosopher's Stone. If you let the game run like this idle, you could rack up tens of thousands of gold. Once you have enough gold saved up, you could buy the remaining relics in Black Rabbit's shop. With Black Rabbit's shop bought out, you want to pick up the Necronomicon and start summoning skeletons. When you run out of mana, just reactivate galoshes. When you reach a max follower count, skeletons start dropping skulls. You want to pick up Vice Sage at this point to let the skulls duplicate. After reaching max skulls, it is time to pick up Gobble and go into the regular Pilfer shop. In the Pilfer shop, you want to buy any good relics, then start transmuting while looking for some certain potions. Examples of potions you look for: transmutagen, bottles in a bottle, some potion, and pneumatic drop. If you come across any of these potions, you want to pick them up, then save them for a later use. If you break the transmute machine in the Pilfer shop, you want to go back to Black Rabbit's shop and sell her back the Philosopher's Stone, galoshes, and Vice Sage. This means their arcana should be Goblet of Grin and Necronomicon. Once this is the case, you want to move on to the second floor of the dungeon. Reaching the Sanctum is important because it is the final zone before the well and the final zone where Black Rabbit's shop can appear. First step obviously is to clear out the floor and save the Pilfer shop for last. In the Pilfer shop, you want to use Goblet to either spawn more potions or transmute potions until you get a potion that can spawn more potions. When you get a ton of potions spawned, you can start transmuting them. The first potion you want to look for is a pneumatic drop, and when you get it, you want to use it to max out all your blessings. If you are missing some blessings, you could spawn them in using blessing bottles. After getting max blessings, you want to find a golden kernels potion and duplicate gold until you get max gold. After having max gold and max blessings, you want to start looking for the 4 main potions of the build. A reminder that these potions are a Kiss of the Succubus potion, Pangolin potion, Float potion, and an antimatter potion. After getting all these potions, you want to go back into Black Rabbit's shop and replace the Necronomicon with the Vice Sage relic. This should leave your arcana as Vice Sage and Goblet of Grin. Once you do this, you can move on to the second floor of the Sanctum. For now, the main idea is to clear out the floor, go to the relic shop, and buy out the Pilfer shop. After clearing the Sanctum, you enter the final antechamber and can go to the well. Some guidelines for the well are that you never want to take the Corpse Explosion hex, which can appear between well levels 1 and 3, or the Shoalgul's Ratchet hex, which can appear after well level 7. Eventually you'll get to a point in the well where you need to choose between Shoalgul's Ratchet and Corpse Explosion, and when this happens you want to choose Corpse Explosion. With Corpse Explosion taken, it is finally time to start using the potions. First, you want to make sure that you always have Float active. It has a 2-minute duration, so it should not be that hard. The other main potion is antimatter. You want to drink antimatter shortly after entering a room or when you get poisoned. If you get poisoned, there's a brief window where your character turns green but does not take poison damage. During this window, you want to drink antimatter about every 2 seconds until the poison goes away. When it comes to the Pangolin potion, you want to drink it when you lose 4 armor shards. Finally, use the Kiss of the Succubus potion in any rooms you have trouble killing the remaining enemies. The clip explaining how to use potions finished. That is the end of the guide. At this point, the run will end. If you mess up and die, get unlucky, or just get bored and quit. I know there are some parts I would have liked to explain more in depth, but I didn't want to drag the guide on too long.